Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the School District of Mystery Lake to order, please. I'd like to start by acknowledging we're signatories to Treaty 5 and we reside in the traditional territory in such a way as a Cree Nation, and we are all treaty people. I'd like to move on to approval of the agenda. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Mr. Trustee Oliveira, Trustee Land, any additions, comments? All those in favor? Approved. Short timeout for chairs. Feel free.
Okay.
Moving on to adoption of the minutes. Can I have a mover, please? Trustee Lechuk, Trustee Brady. Any additions or errors? All those in favor of approving? Passed. Delegations, the fun part of the evening. We'll open with half of the people here. Mrs. Gagne's grade 6 class on early years literacy. You guys are up.
Later years.
Oh, later.
Over here too, I know.
I still don't see it.
Austin, come here. You need to be able to see the slides. Okay. So we're very happy to be here to present a project we did with the support of Madame Little, Fairy Tales on Trial.
The Case of Peter Rabbit, conducted by Grade 6 Garnier. The Judge. Landon Green Gonzalez. The Bailiff. Amy Knott. Defendant Peter Rabbit. Alan Saucier. Prosecution lawyer. Maya Millar. Oh, defense lawyer. Jenna Shire. Defense lawyer. Defense lawyer. Riley Corner. Miss McGregor. Miss Jonas Thorne. Miss McGregor. Avery Thorne. What? Avery Arnold. Mrs. Rabbit. Riley Corner. Cottontail Annalise Cottontail Annalise Willett. Flopsy, who is Paige Robinson. Mopsy, Azurna Lane. The Cat, Morgan Medwood. The Sparrow, Azurna Lane. The old Mouse is Cameron George.
Our prosecution team was, the lead prosecutor was myself. The lawyers were Azurna Lane, Jade Brooks, Maximilian Bruderer, Trista DeGrave, Cameron George, Landon Greenwood Solis, Annalise Willett, Jonah Thorne, and Kira Hart. The prosecution plan was we looked through the text of Peter Rabbit and for evidence that Peter was guilty, and with that we chose our witnesses. like Mrs. Rabbit and Mr. McGregor and Peter's siblings. And then we prepared questions for Peter, such as, was he in the garden? Did you see him in the garden? And others.
This is the defense team. The head defense lawyers was Jenna Shire, me. The lawyers was Amy Knott, Peyton Robinson, Avery Arnold, Alan Sauce, Ryder was Substitute, Morgan Medwood, and Austin Brass. The defense chose not to put Peter on the stand because we didn't want him to incriminate himself or the prosecution team. To share that strategy, the bunnies on the land first, we used that strategy because if it was the bunny's land to begin with, it wasn't really trespassing and it wasn't stealing. The poster of rabbits. We did the poster of rabbits because they all look the same, so it wasn't really Peter, and Mr. McGregor couldn't identify which one was Peter Rabbit.
The trial. Let's begin. Opening before judge enters.
All rise. We stood up when the judge entered the courtroom.
Opening statements.
Prosecution versus defense.
Prosecution versus, Sparrow being questioned.
Order, please.
Recap.
Wait, let me think.
Mrs. Rabbit being questioned.
The decision of the juries. In a civil trial, a judge or jury examines the evidence to decide whether, by the preponderance of the evidence, the defendant should be held legally responsible for the damages alleged by the plaintiff.
The decision of the juries, guilty or not guilty. One group of the juries was not able to get a unanimous decision, so the teacher of that class had to choose, and that teacher chose that Peter was not guilty. The other group of juries came to an unanimous decision that the defendant, Peter Rabbit, was not guilty of trespassing based on the evidence and argumentation made by the defense team.
Let's reflect. A little time with a lot to think about and many decisions to make. A trial, the procedures, the rules, the story. Student playing multiple roles, no practice, improvisation. For our witnesses and lawyers, excellent teamwork, cooperation, discussions, volunteers for last-minute roles. What seems obvious is not always. A great learning experience.
The whole experience was our thoughts. Doing this trial made Jenna and I realize what we want to be in life. Lawyers, Riley. It was nice to do something different and new, Jonah. We thought it was going to be easy. It was not, but it was worth the challenge. Prosecution team. It was fun to learn about the law, Alan. It was cool seeing the trial come to life, Avery. It was fun playing a judge by seeing how a courtroom works, Landon.
What we would do differently. We would have a bigger story so everyone who wants to a part has a part. Myself. We would have liked to use costumes, Jonah. We would have a better setup, Azarin. we would stress the importance of confidentially. Riley, we would need more time to practice and prepare evidence next time. Raya, we needed to have a recess to examine new evidence. Madame Gagne.
Thank you to Ms. Little, our juries, our lawyers, the witnesses, the judge, the editors, the bailiff, and Madame Gagne.
Can we just explain who the jury was?
Oh, yeah, we forgot to explain. Jonah, who was our jury? Look at the audience, please.
The jury was the grade 6 English class and the grade 4 Madame Santos English class.
That's so cute.
Oh, I was just wondering where the idea came from for Peter Rabbit, like, because there's other stories. Val, that was your idea, Val?
Yeah, it's a really good story to start with. It's a very complicated thing to do. So it's a simpler fairy tale. It's not, it doesn't have a huge number of characters. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, for example, or Cinderella is much more complicated. And so, and it was a good choice for this group because now part of their comments were that they would like to have a bigger play and more characters. So they really were able to get their teeth into it. But when you first start this, it's more difficult than it appears. Yeah.
How many times did you have to read it to actually be able to come up with prosecution and defense?
Well, when I read it, I had to read it at least 5 times so that I could memorize parts of it, what I need to know.
Yeah, I read it around 3 to 4 times to memorize all the parts and stuff.
I read it about 7 times.
Okay, I have 2 questions. My first question is, what was the original charge? And my second question is, how many days did you get to prepare your evidence?
We got 2 weeks, but like a little less because they were sick and other kids were sick and
And the original charge of it was trespassing and theft.
But in the end, Mr. McGregor and Peter Rabbit should have went to jail because Mr. McGregor should have got charged of murder, and Peter Rabbit should have got charged for theft and vandalism. Because
The only reason he would have been charged for murder is because he killed Peter Rabbit's dad.
I'd like to have, we say a week and a half, but it's 1 period a day. So that's why we realized we would have needed more time. But I'd like to praise my students for good attitude and being to learn with 2 teachers who had not done it before. So there is room for improvement for all of us. And we will have what are we going to have in June?
Another trial.
Yes, the same teams and, yeah.
This will be a book in French, won't it?
With more skills, yeah, we'll try to do that in French. Okay, we'll discuss that later. And thank you, parents, for coming tonight.
Thank you, Madam Gagne.
That was a great job presenting something where we didn't get to be there for it, but got to feel that we were there for it. That was awesome. Thank you.
say?
Said they were doing another one?
Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah.
Look forward to doing an easy one.
So some of them read it 7 times. They wanted to convict us.
Yeah, they wanted to nail him.
Moving on to our second presentation of the night, the JRB Shoot-a-thon. So we have Ms. McKay, Artie Parker School Counselor, with athletes and coaches from the Junior Bison program in Thompson. And they're presenting on their recent shoot-a-thon, which raised money for the Hope North Suicide Prevention Committee.
We are here on behalf of Thompson Junior Bisons, and we'd like to present the speech that we sent to Hope North last week.
Good evening. We are here on behalf of Thompson Junior Bison's basketball program and would like to tell you a bit about our group. JRB is an all-girls basketball program that has been running for 10 years now. JRB is an outside school basketball club which teaches children from kindergarten to grade 12.
As young athletes living in Thompson, we have seen firsthand the importance of mental health awareness and having positive supports within our community. We are all very fortunate to have the JRB program, as it allows us to build new relationships and it is also a positive outlet.
Mental health has impacted our community in an extremely negative way due to the many suicides and unfortunate deaths due to illnesses or tragedies in previous years. We also have friends and families who are impacted by mental health, and we would like to show our support.
In years past, the program has completed this shoot-a-thon and raised thousands of dollars for other worthwhile charities such as Angel Hair, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and the Wapanuck Breakfast Program. The program believes in giving back to the community that has so generously helped us in the early years.
For the past couple of months, the JRB teams have been going into the community again to ask for sponsorships for another shoot-a-thon. Community members and different organizations donated money based off baskets made by each individual athlete. This event will go down as one of our most successful ones yet.
On behalf of all our teams, JRB would like to donate this check for $4,200 to help the Hope North Suicide Prevention Committee with mental health initiatives in our community.
Can I speak? I just wanted to say when they brought that big check to, we were in the middle of a planning meeting for our upcoming Hope Forum, and I had no idea that they had raised all this money, nor did our committee. So when they presented this check and came, I cried, because you guys are exactly the reason that Hope North does what we do, and we try so hard to, support youth and create opportunity for sport, recreation, social engagement, and that's exactly what you guys are doing, and having that sense of belonging and being part of a team and having such positive, mentors such as Miss McKay and your other coaches is really heartwarming. So our promise as Hope North Committee back to the junior bisons was that we would meet as a committee once Hope Forum's done and decide how we're going to use that amount of money. It was actually $4,400 in the end that they gave us. We're going to meet as a committee and really decide how we could give back to the youth in a way that would actually create more opportunity for sport, recreation, and that kind of social engagement. So I just want to say again on behalf of Hope North and the trustees, as I'm speaking, that we are just so tremendously grateful and what wonderful role models you are, and I just so much appreciate everything that all of you have done. Thank you.
They took off on you. Hang on. Okay, one more minute. That's no problem, thank you. Make it happen.
Yeah, not so much, eh?
There's a couple slow getting out, you can hold them. Moving on to business from a previous board meeting. First thing up, the youth homelessness research and focus groups. Dr. Marlene Bonnycastle and C. Leanne Deegan, instructor from the University of Manitoba's Northern Social Work and Program in Thompson, have a research project on youth homelessness, including the voices of youth who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless in Northern Manitoba, and are requesting permission to have adolescents aged 12 to 18 participate in focus groups and or interviews. And we've got the proposal circulated. Anyone want to speak to it, or?
That was just the information that was missed the first time around, so I just wanted to make sure that you had that information. I am waiting to receive word from Marlene and Leanne as far as next steps. And once I receive that, I'll bring that forward. But as long as nobody here has any issue with us moving forward, we're going to move forward on the research.
Do we need a motion on that at this point? Okay. So we have a recommendation for a motion. Anyone want to move it?
I'll move, yeah. You read it or you can?
Want to make sure somebody was going to recommend it first.
Yeah,
That the Board of Trustees allow Dr. Bonnycastle and C. Leanne Deegan, both from the University of Manitoba, to conduct focus groups and interviews with staff and youth aged 12 to 18 about youth homelessness, including the voices of youth who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless in Northern Manitoba's research project. Sorry, just for a seconder as well, please. Trustee Brady, any questions, comments? Yes.
I'm still not clear in respect to where this is taking place. Can someone clarify that?
So what's going to happen is we're waiting for a letter to come back that's going to go to parents. Parents will have to sign off for students to participate. If they've agreed, then the two researchers are going to meet with the parents and the students to provide information on how they're going to proceed, and then they'll proceed that way. So it has to be voluntary. And they'll be broken up into three groups. There'll be a grade 7 and 8 group, a grade 9 and 10 group, and a grade 11 and 12 group.
Okay. I'm just wondering, and I can't remember, so just like, this is just a question. If the motion needs more detail in respect to that, or if this is okay. I can't remember what we've done in the past. If it was a detailed motion or a non-detailed motion. I just really can't remember.
From my perspective, it's coming to us with a recommendation to to approve. So really, I think the matrix requires it. More is coming to us for information, but as I recall, there's your comfort is to prefer to bring it to us to get a motion in support of that, given that it could be public in nature, right? Is that?
Well, it's outside research and it's
Okay.
research with our students who are under 18,
Yeah.
but it's strictly voluntary, so parents have to sign up, and they have to meet with the researchers before they proceed. So a parent can opt out if they decide that's something they want to do.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so then this is fine, but the superintendent does have to bring outside research to the board, according to the matrix, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. And I was just wondering about I mean, it's fine with me if it's fine with everybody else and includes what it has to say. I just cannot remember the last research, what it said. That's all, so I'm totally fine with it.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Is this a second part? Because I seem to remember going to, yeah, so they had canvassed kids in the mall, is that?
No, it was, they had canvassed our adult students.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because I seem to remember.
Yeah,
going
so
to
now
it.
they're.
Okay.
All those in favor? Pass. Superintendent of Human Resources and Policy Report.
I've provided you with a written report. Just want to highlight a few things and say thank you. Last week I had the opportunity to go to UCN twice for 2 events that they hosted. The first one was the UCN Partnership Recognition Luncheon, in which we received an award for our partnership with the education program and other programs of providing work placements. And they were very gracious, and it was a great lunch. And we were all school administrators were invited, and I think 7 or 8 of us were there. And also I had the opportunity to go to one day of the 2-day professional development session they hosted on truth and reconciliation. And they had a number of sessions that were extremely interesting. I believe all administrators we kind of divided and conquered, so half of us went to one day and then the other half went to the other. So it was really informative and really moving. The leadership intern group, there were 6 candidates that had been selected. They did participate in their first professional development session, so essentially it will be 10 full-day professional development sessions. These development sessions, their professional development sessions for the most part, are conducted by internal staff, just because and it's generally administrators. There are a few outside facilitators. So I just wanted to thank Jolene Brown and Jonathan Wombolt. They each did a half-day session that highlighted the function for school administrators with their needs, to familiarize them with SIMS and the things like school budgeting, bookkeeping, discipline reports, etc. So I also have a few resignations. So Katie Pepizzo-Nemeth has submitted her letter of resignation effective June 30th, 2018. Ms. Pepizzo-Nemeth has been employed with the district since 2014 as a choral teacher at Artie Parker, as well as Carly Paris has submitted her letter of resignation, effective June 30th of this year. Ms. Paris has been employed with the district since 2012. She was a middle years teacher, and I believe her last couple of years at Burtwood, she was doing music between Burtwood and Westwood schools. I just want to wish both these ladies well in whatever they plan to do in the future, and actually thank them. Technically the resignation date's not till the end of April. Both of these positions, when you're looking at choral music, sometimes can be difficult to fill. So being able to advertise them maybe earlier than some of my competition in the South is a really nice thing for them to do. So I appreciate that. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Superintendent of Educational Services and Programming.
I have no report. After the last meeting, I attended the trustee convention, which I would like to make sure that I have a write-up on, because there were a few interesting things that I learned along the way. And today was my first day back. I did have a meeting in Winnipeg yesterday with the BSAP, which is the Building Schools and Students. No, buildings.
Acronym. I'm not the only one. I'm not the
Building
only
Student
one.
Success of Parents. So I had that meeting yesterday, and then today I had a transition meeting with like grade 8s and grade 9s and administration. So I will have a full report, and I will make sure that I spell out BSAP for Janet. Oh dear.
Secretary Treasurer's report.
I received a letter from Josh Watt, Executive Director. Manitoba School Board Association Provincial Executive has requested information from all school boards regarding the 2018 school budgets for the MSBA, Manitoba School Board Association's advocacy efforts. Circulated in your agenda packages was all the information that the boards are being asked of. The recommendation I bring forward at this time is that the information request issued by Manitoba School Board Association on March 21st be provided. So they're looking for the overall tax increase in terms of percentages, anticipated change of delivery and programming, impacts to infrastructure, staffing impacts.
Trustee Oliver? Trustee Elisha? Anybody have any questions?
All those in favor? Passed.
New business, we have none.
Correspondence, Manitoba School Board Association.
I did not go to convention, so there was a meeting there, but I have not heard about it. And the other trustees who were at convention could probably speak more clearly as to what MSBA is up to this month. Then I could, because I was mayor. So if anybody has any ideas, throw them out.
I attended a meeting with the Minister of Education on Thursday afternoon after convention started at 4:30 till 6. Mr. Wishart had been given questions ahead of time which had been submitted by school boards from across the province, and so he attempted to answer those questions. I'm not sure he answered them very well necessarily, depending on what the question was. There's just a lot of speculation and rumors going around across the whole province about everything from soup to nuts, so it's really hard to get a handle on what's going on. But he appeared, he did come, and he was there with us for over an hour, and he certainly attempted to answer the questions, and that was about all I can say about it.
Anybody else?
Oh, we did have a
Remember
regional
what happened
meeting,
at
yeah.
night?
To discuss some of the strategies that some of the other school divisions are using with the tax increases. There's how some municipalities are skirting the issue of calling an actual tax increase when it's raising. How do they word it? Adjusting a price to some of the services that they offer. So it's pretty interesting to see something that was coming out of our area and some of the issues they were dealing with. It kind of opened our eyes to a few things. Guess we'll talk after, Secretary Treasurer. That one slipped my mind. Thank you, Trustee Fitzpatrick.
Anybody else?
The opening speaker was very entertaining that first day, that guy.
Are we talking about the whole convention now? I thought we were just talking about MSB business.
Well, that's MSBA business. Biz will talk about
You
it.
might as well, otherwise it just falls to trustee comments and just becomes more confusing.
So I wish that I could say that I attended some really good PD sessions while I was there, but I think that the ones I ended up signing up for were all flops, unfortunately. So I don't really feel that I have anything to share in terms of the PD sessions that I went to. I mean, no offense to the organizers or anything like that. Maybe it was just the information I thought would pertain maybe to our area or whatever, and it just didn't end up being anything that I really felt was important for us or that I needed to hear. So I sat through the sessions, but they were a lot different than what I expected when I read what I was signing up for. So that was unfortunate, but that's okay. So I don't really have anything to share on that side of it. I hear everyone else went to really good PD sessions though, so I was kind of sad after that mine were over. And I heard all the good things that I missed, but that's okay. And I have I brought all the resolutions back, if anyone's interested in hearing how those went on the floor when we were voting, which resolutions passed and which didn't. I brought all that back.
I'm just kidding.
No, I can't actually, but I'll give them to you. Have them in my bag if you want them.
I was gonna say that my take-home message from the MSBA conference was all pertaining to blueberries.
Yep. Yeah. The keynote speaker was really good.
He was
They only
really
had
good
one
at
keynote
explaining
speaker this year. Usually there's 3. They had 1.
He was excellent.
And he was excellent.
So I'll have to explain what blueberries
Yeah,
means.
it
But
is.
yeah, he was awesome. He was a businessman from the States.
Iowa.
From Iowa. And he had an ice cream business, and when he started doing presentations to schools, he went in and talked about how schools would do better to run schools like a business. And I think that he was really not making any friends with the teachers and the administration, because he was really just about the bottom line and how you make schools more efficient. And towards the end, he talked about how he really learned a valuable lesson, because one of the teachers that was around for a long time, in a very eloquent way, said to him about the products and stuff that he has when he's making ice cream. She asked him, are they always the finest ingredients, and do you do your quality checks before you take like when you buy blueberries, do you do the quality check, make sure they're all the same size and that that they're the best blueberries you can get? And he said, well, of course I do. And she said, well, there's my point, because we do not get to pick our blueberries. We take them in all shapes, all sizes, with all different kinds of abilities, with any kinds of issues or things that they need help with, and our job is about taking and caring for all blueberries that come our way. So I thought it was a great analogy, and that was the take-home message from, and that's probably what I remember most. I can't say
And it
my
was quite entertaining hearing
Yes.
about his experience when they made him come work in a school for a day.
Yeah.
He was really good.
He was good, and I think that's what started to flip him, right?
Yeah.
At that point there,
Yeah.
when he seen that public education was really worth it, so.
He said he stopped at that point. He stopped looking at it as a business model. It was really interesting.
He didn't talk about rotten blueberries, did he?
What he said was, when the case of blueberries comes to his factory, and if the blueberries are damaged and the box is damaged, he sends them back. And the teacher was saying, we can't send them back. They come, they're damaged, they're this, they're that. We can't send them back. We still keep them, and we have to educate them. So that was the lesson for him. I don't get to send them back. These kids are here, they're here to stay, and we have to educate them, damaged or not.
What board did he say that he was? He was a businessman, so he was assigned to a board, some kind of education committee.
Yeah, business and
For
education
the-
working together.
For the state that he lived in, it was some kind of governing board that oversaw education, public education in that state. And so he said he always looked at it as it should be run like a business, right? And so those were some of the lessons he said he learned about public education once he was more involved and saw it firsthand. So it was interesting to see how his perspective changed.
Yeah.
All about blueberries.
Yep, we'll never look at blueberries the same way again.
Moving on to committee reports. What with winter games and all, I suspect that we've had relatively few except one, but giving everyone a shot. Policy?
Policy Committee has a meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock with a very hefty agenda.
Right after the city liaison.
Yeah. So we'll have to stay focused and try to get through the agenda.
Education and programming?
There was a doodle poodle
Doodle poodle.
poodle went out today. So Liz and Ryan were you asked first about your schedule before Cheryl sent out the poll?
No, but I just returned today to the office, so it went out and I noticed that April 11th seemed to be the day that worked, so I clicked April 11th.
So you guys responded? Because I
It
was,
is, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I did I?
No, I didn't see you on
I'll
that.
have to do that.
so as soon as that happens, then we can get together. That's all, folks.
Public relations?
No meeting? We'll schedule one.
And finance?
We had a meeting right before this meeting tonight. We reviewed the trustee indemnity, reviewed a couple of other things. We'll be bringing forward some recommendations to the next board meeting. Of course, wasn't enough time since we only met today to put them on the agenda, so you can expect a few things from us then. I don't think I have much else to share other than when it becomes a part of the agenda for next meeting. So. Did I miss anything? You look like you want to share something, like I missed something.
Nope. Getting ready for trustee comments.
It will all
Trustee comments. Starting.
You may as well go first because you're chomping at the bit here, boss.
No, gonna start at your end.
Yeah. I'm going first.
Oh, boy.
Congratulations to the senior basketball team. What was that last week? Anyway, they're winning all the time now. I don't know what we're gonna do. They're just gonna, I don't know, like the first time they won, they had never won before, and we had this big celebration. The second time was like, yeah, great. The third time was like, oh my God. And I was like, what? I'm kidding. Congratulations to them. It's fantastic. And I participated in the March for Our Lives on Saturday, and that was really well run, and just thanks to RDC SOS group for doing that. Very good. I don't know if anybody looked at what was happening around the globe with those walks, but we were part of it. Like we were, I think, the only one in Manitoba.
The most northerly one in the world.
And yeah,
Everything else is major centers.
really something to be proud of. So, I mean, it was kind of cold and definitely icy, but it was really good. It was a really good time. We did a great job. That's all.
No comments.
I also got to go on the March for Our Lives, and again, credit to SOS from Artie Parker. They did a fantastic job of putting that together. And in addition to most northerly, I guarantee we set a temperature record.
For sure.
It was cold.
I also went to the Westwood Science Fair and helped judge that. And as always with those events, it was a lot of fun. The winning project in the grade I judged was brilliant. It was a boy who had been told that people can tell babies apart, and he's going, no way.
And he proved it.
No, he put it together perfectly, right? He had controls, he surveyed, he got a demographic to survey, he did all the things you want it to be a science project, and it included his hypothesis that people are just pretending when they say that they can tell. And, well, okay, so neither of and I mean, he had a test for us, and both judges failed the test utterly, and he also figured out what the one demographic that he could have, like, parsed it out by and seen a difference was. He says, I think there might be a difference between men and women.
Good to know.
Yeah, he didn't actually test.
Lineup of babies, and we had kind of.
He did. He had 8 pictures of babies and 2 pictures of parents, and you have to look at the parents and figure out
Who's the baby?
who was their baby. And I mean, they were really, really diverse babies. Well, no, I mean, so you'd think it wouldn't be that hard, but
Right.
it didn't work for either of us. And it turns out it was his parents and his baby picture that you were looking for.
Oh, cool.
But he didn't tell you that, because that might have made it easier. Anyway, it was really clever. It was exactly what a science fair experiment needs to be. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it does in regionals.
So was it like the difference, like female, male, you were supposed to be able to tell?
No, we just suspected that since no guys could pass the test, that probably the whole idea you can tell babies apart comes from women.
Wow, that's
Just their
that was an
facial features,
assumption.
I guess.
I'll tell you right now, I had nothing. Just a
Gotcha.
Okay, I was at the March for Lives march on Saturday as well, and very proud of Artie Parker for SOS group for putting that together, and all those kids all over North America and Europe and everywhere else that were doing the same thing that day. And I too was at the Westwood Science Fair last Tuesday, and I was judging grade 4 and some very interesting projects, and I'm going to Science Fair tomorrow at Burntwood and see what's happening over there.
Just wanted to again acknowledge the senior girls basketball team and really make a connection there too. I mean, I don't know if others caught it, but the JRB group that was here talked about the fact that that program has been running for about 10 years. Not coincidentally, we're bringing home banners now, and we've just got this army of coaches and parents and teachers and volunteers that are really putting time into development. And I think for both genders, although that specific focus of that program is for young women, because not only are they building a better future for themselves by playing the greatest sport on the planet, but they're also building a better community. I mean, it's so great to see that community involvement. I know other sports programs in town do that. You'll often see the North Stars out and about doing various things, but that's fantastic because they are absolutely a part of something bigger on those teams. So.
And we're seeing a lot more of those kids going on to play basketball at the university level as well. Absolutely. Yeah, it's awesome.
So my comments are that last week was, I think, just a tremendous week in terms of just really huge pride in our students for standing up for social justice in the way of March for Our Lives. I participated in that too, and I think that it's just amazing. It's not even just that they put on the event, it's just the way that they spoke and the understanding that they have about how their voice has impact, right? And I think they spoke so clearly and loudly and eloquently and really understood what they were standing up for, and recognizing that all the way in Thompson, Manitoba, that their voice could mean something for gun violence and promoting safer schools. So I think that was truly remarkable. And I love the song Hallelujah, and I love the Canadian tenors, but I'm telling you, SOS did it justice. They did a great job singing that song. It was really, really, really good. And then just again, the Junior Bisons program. I just think understanding that, raising money and what that money is for, and the fact that they can make a difference in terms of promoting life in our region and doing that. Last week my heart was absolutely full for people that say that, that our youth, that there's no hope for our youth. Well, I beg to differ, because there's tons of hope for our youth, and our youth in the north here are definitely demonstrating that. So I think that that's incredibly amazing and very, very proud.
My turn?
Yeah.
I got to be a crossing guard. Not very good at my job. Totally abandoned my post before everybody crossed it.
Did you get too cold?
No, I just thought that the line was done. I didn't realize that there was like a family.
I didn't do that.
Anyways, then I just hung out at Liz's post and pretended like I was supposed to be there and waited for the next group to come. Then I kept going. Yes, but I'm really thankful that SOS came and invited us to participate in that event. I feel very fortunate that I got to be there.